GST, that is called forward charge. If the recipient of the services pays the GST, that is called reverse charge. I think Umashankar, you understand?
Yeah, I have a question here. So let's take a scenario. Okay, so you're saying that let's say that you have a car service station, a Maruti service station. Okay, so I'm going there and giving my car. Okay, so he's doing the service for me. Okay, so I am the receiver of the service. Am I right?
Correct.
So in that case, let's say that he is not a registered GST person or a GST company. Who's liable to pay the tax?
See, to be very frank, the car dealers and all, probably if you go to a mechanic shop, a car dealer shop, certainly it must be a registered dealer. If you will go to a company like Maruti, Nissan, whatever the car, this one. If you go to an unregistered dealer, I believe you will not get any bill at all. The first place. See, when the liability of GST arises, only when you raise a tax invoice. When someone raises a tax invoice, then only the liability of GST arises. Then only you can take the credit, then only you can file the return. If the tax invoice is to be raised, okay? If the tax invoice is to be raised, then you need to be a registered person. If he is not a registered person, then the recipient, you have to register yourself saying that I have received services. See, please understand, RCM is not applicable for goods, it is only for services.
Yeah.
Not supply of goods, it's only for supply of services, recipient of services.
Okay, so the recipient of service is liable to pay the tax. Is that
correct?
What you're saying?
100%, 100%.
Okay,
that is called reverse charge.
Okay, let's take that I'm using a auto rickshaw, okay, for example, and I'm paying 100 rupees to the auto rickshaw, and then I am expensing it in my company. Okay, so when I expense it in the company, so I am liable to pay GST for that 100 rupees.
Now tell me, then you have to go to the fundamentals. Is it a supply? Was it a supply? And was it, whether the supply is a consideration, and was it in the course of business? Who is this? What supply you have received? So you have to go to the fundas of that.
Right.
So who has rendered the services?
The auto driver.
Auto driver has rendered services to you. Okay. So he would have given you the bill. See, anything which is not documented, it's not a transaction at all. It's an expense.
Okay.
You see, if you say if you want to bring it under GST, he should have raised you a bill saying that so and so has been from so and so many kilometers we have traveled, and this is the charge for that. And that then if he says GST, if he is a registered dealer, otherwise it's no.
Is charging GST for us. Ola bill we are receiving, no? Ola bill is having GST.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Ola bill is, I think it is, the GST is only for the service part, what Ola is entering. Okay, it is not for the rental part.
Service only.
Okay, he's just a service guy. So my question is, when I expense it in my company, for example, okay, I'm going to say that, okay, I spent 100 rupees on the auto, okay, but I won't have a GST bill. Okay, I won't have a bill at all, or let's assume that I don't have a GST bill. The person who's giving me the service is not a registered GST practitioner. If that is the case, I have a expense of 100 rupees. I'm saying that in my accounts, I've paid 100 rupees to this guy for taking a service. In that case, should I pay GST? Am I liable to pay GST for that money which I've spent?
No.
So I tell you, see, you have taken a Ola car, Uber car, whatever it is, you paid 100 rupees for the transportation. Now you are reimbursing from the company. Correct. So you want to say, I am a recipient of the services of that transportation, whether am I liable to pay GST or not? No.
Okay. So even the stationaries, right? Let's take, I'm buying stationery for like 20,000 rupees. Okay. So this guy is not, it's a very small shop and he's giving me a bill. He's not he's in the limits of 20 lakhs. He's not exceeding 20 lakhs. So he's not registered for GST. He's giving me a bill. Okay.
Okay.
In that case, even that, if I expense it, I don't have to pay tax. That's what you're saying.
No, you don't have to.
Okay. Thanks.
You don't have to.
Who is that? Mr. Subrama?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Sir, actually, I asked this as a clarification because I have been talking to a few people. They are saying that we have to. So I wasn't sure. That's why I'm asking.
No. See, you have to, mere statement will not serve your purpose. You have to see the context in which you are asking. If you say, I have traveled in a car, I paid some money, am I really liable to pay GST? Then you have to analyze that whether that comes under GST law or not. Okay, paying to Ola person, is he raising an invoice? If he raising an invoice, okay, then is he charging a tax on that? No, he is not raising an invoice, he is not charging tax. So it is a normal expense. It's an expense incurred. From your perspective, it's only a reimbursement from the company. Otherwise, what you have to go line by line, then you have to take invoice from the Ola person, the tax component, and get it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's very difficult. Certain things, these are very trivial one, very small thing. Every day you go by auto or car, you cannot get invoice or bill, whatever it is. You just pay 100 rupees or 200 rupees and get away from the place. So those things will not come. But if you want to make it under the GST, you have to bring the auto person, driver, Ola as a party with your company, as a company transacted with that guy. That means he is one of the vendor or service provider to your company. Because you will not get, see, very simple, you will not get the credit for that. The company will take the credit. I'm talking about input tax credit. When the company take the input tax credit, then it will only take when there is a tax invoice, and only when the return has been filed, when all these details have been uploaded in the return, it is captured in the credit ledger. All these things are in a normal scenario will not happen with auto driver, Ola, Uber. So those are all petty expenses, petty cash expenses. It is only expenses. If you really want to bring them into GST, then you have to tell the auto person, sir, you please have a bill in your name, register yourself. Even if you don't register, give an invoice. Okay, you say you are rendering services. It is coming under this category. We will pay under RCM, and we will take that. Then you have to intimate that. So this is not happening in the normal scenario. These are all business expenses in the form of reimbursement.
If no one else has any questions, maybe I'll ask another question. So I'll just wait for
please.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Please.
Okay, so for what are all the things that you can take into tax credit? For example, let's take I buy a TV for my office, which is like a big screen for projector purpose, for example, and I'm paying GST on it, 18% GST, for example. So this will get reported against my GST number on the GST portal, whatever it is. Okay. Then can I take how much of the money that I spend and I pay GST, which I can take it as input tax credit, or for what are all the things that I can take as input tax credit? Is it like only which I'm spending on services, or which I'm spending on goods? So is there any limit on that?
See, rather focusing on the limit, we have to focus on the concept. See, the law says when you are allowed to take input tax credit, first place, your input is used for a business. That is the primary criteria. And then when the input is used for the business, was there an output liability? Okay. There is no one-to-one concept. That means you can take, it's a seamless credit. You can take credit without, if you pay 1 lakh rupees as an input tax credit, okay, and you have a tax output liability of say 2 lakh rupees or 2,50,000 rupees, you can adjust this 1 lakh rupees as an input tax credit already paid to the seller, and the balance it can be remitted. Okay, and for this you have to only satisfy yourself. You should not do a double taxation. For example, you buy a capital goods and you claim depreciation on that. Okay. So depreciation is a tax expense. It's a tax benefit given under the Income Tax Act. When you take the input tax credit on the depreciation component also, that is not allowed because it's a double taxation benefit. So you cannot take a benefit which you have already availed in the form of depreciation under income tax. That is one concept. Second thing, you cannot take input the goods which is exempted. See, you bought a goods and you do some process, and that the output is exempted. Assuming you buy 1 lakh rupees, you paid 1 lakh rupees tax for a good for a goods X, and you are selling that X goods to someone else after processing everything. Now, while selling, if it becomes a exempted goods or nil rate goods, then this 1 lakh rupees paid by you is a cost because you don't have an output liability for that. So it is more than the limit. You have to see the concept. Hope you got it. You understand? Are you getting clear?
Yeah. I got it.
Okay. It's very simple. Very simple. Fundas is very essential before getting into the intricacies of GST. My input tax credit is my right, but my right will come only when I do business, when I have a liability to pay, when I have an output liability to pay. Otherwise, no. If assuming I buy certain goods, I pay tax and I use for my own consumption, and I cannot use that input tax credit while discharging my output tax. That is unfair.
Yeah, Balaji, Mr. Ruben is having a question. Yeah,
Mr. Ruben, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome,
yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
The session was awesome. Like it was an undoubtedly, like eye-opening session. So I've seen, like GST, CGST and SGST on paper only. I mean, like invoices only. This is the first time.
Okay.
It is really awesome. And like I would like to find. Let me come to my query. It is not like a real-time question. This was asked to me by my friend. Okay. So the question is like, my friend is like, who's a owner of his property. He wanted to rent out for his property. First
your voice is not, your voice is feeble. Can you come closer to the mic?
Okay. Now can you hear me? Now? Is that fine?
Yeah, now it is okay.
Okay, great. Sir Balaji sir, is it fine?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So this is like a real-time scenario. My friend, like who is a owner of his property. He wanted to rent out, like a first and second floor for a small company. Like they are a very, small means like a startup company. The turnover, like would come around like a 10 lakhs per year. 10 to 15 lakhs per year. Okay. So in this case, GST will applicable for this. Got it right. In future, my friend, like will face any legal issue in terms of GST.
Okay. See, the first case is letting of immobile property is a supply of services. Okay. When you let an immobile property, it will fall under supply of services.
Okay.
Fine. Now your friend is less than the threshold limit of what do you call it as 20 lakhs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So your question is whether GST is applicable to him or not.
Yes. And he has to put, like what to say, rental agreement.
Rental agreement is essential.
Yeah. He's going to put, like okay. The thing is like, he's going to give rent for business purpose, not for a residential purpose. You got it right, my question.
Okay. See, letting of immobile properties, supply of services. Okay. In that scenario, he is liable to pay GST. But if his turnover is less than 20 lakhs, okay, 20 lakhs is not liable to not liable for registration under GST.
And
to me, if you ask me, there is no requirement for him to this one. Let me check on this. If it comes under letting of immobile property sector services, is he raising an invoice?
No, sir.
Okay, he is not raising an invoice. Okay.
Yeah, his home, like put up in Anna Nagar. Okay, people, like surrounding him. They said, like, you have to get the commercial, like EB stuffs.
Okay. No, if he is registered, then he has to pay. If he is registered, otherwise, if his aggregate turnover is less than 20 lakhs, GST payment is not required. See, is he for a commercial purpose or residence purpose?
A commercial purpose only.
So if it is a commercial purpose, okay, then the other guy has to certainly you have to issue an invoice, no? See, the person who is using the premises,
okay,
for them is an expense, business expense. So he will book it. He will record in his books that rent payment as an expense. Okay. So for that, he would have required invoice from you.
He's asking nowadays. He's asking.
Yeah. Basically, see, he will ask. He may be a registered dealer.
Okay, the thing is, like, this is a residential area. Okay, so as I said, like, so I don't know, like, which category he has to register himself.
So he can be what do you call it as composition. Because it's registration is not mandatory. His turnover is less than 1 crore. He can become a composition levy, a composition dealer. He can register himself as a composition dealer, so that whatever he pay, he can pay only 1%. Even if the GST is applicable, you can pay only 1%. Okay.
But is composition levy applicable for service industry?
Composition, hold on.
No, it's applicable only for goods, right?
Goods.
1 minute, let me check that. Manufactured goods, yeah, correct. Any other suppliers eligible for composition?
Goods.
Only goods, correct. Only goods, not for service. Correct. So he is not eligible for under composition levy. So if you ask me, as a turnover is less than 20 lakhs, to him GST registration is not required, and GST is also not applicable.
Sir, I have a question on top of it. Now, how does the reverse charging work? Because if this guy is not registered,
correct,
the person who is renting the house, right?
Okay.
He's going to pay and he's going to put it into his accounts. Let's say that he's paying 10,000 rupees rent. So he's going to expense it as 10,000 business expense.
Correct.
This is an expense without a GST payment.
Correct. So he will come. So he will come under RCM mechanism.
So then the guy who was rented out will pay the tax.
No. The guy who has availed the services, the one who is utilizing the premises, the rental office, need to discharge, because that guy is less than 20 lakhs turnover. He is no need to be a registered dealer. He no need to discharge the GST liability. Okay, it is not, because he is not coming under bracket. But the services is received by the person who is in possession of the rental premises. Okay, so he will be liable under RCM, reverse charge mechanism, because he is doing transaction with an unregistered dealer.
Right, but look at it this way. So two things. One is it in effect now? RCM, reverse charging mechanism, is it in effect now?
Okay.
So I hear, I don't know very clearly, but I hear that it is being delayed, but I don't know whether it is in effect right now. That is my first question. Second question is, so the government is saying that up to 20 lakhs you don't have to register, but they are charging the other day. Okay, what is the point in this? There's no point, right?
See,
anyway, somebody is paying it.
No. It's not.
Can anybody hear me, sir?
When you take a lawyer, I'm taking. See, when you receive services which is worth, for example, a supply of. See, before this GST comes into play in the service tax itself, there is a concept. This reverse charge mechanism was there, and that is for goods and GTA for goods transport agencies. RCM was there. So the government wanted to charge a person who gets the benefit because of the services received, and that benefit is being used for the business. So they want to keep that as a mechanism to collect revenue. So you see, otherwise what will happen? The lots of professional services will happen. They say I render services. He will raise invoice, but he will not charge any tax. So it is very difficult to catch a person who is not a registered dealer. But you being a registered dealer, when you do a transaction with an unregistered dealer, it is possible for me to catch you. So that is why I'm saying, you being a registered dealer, availing services from an unregistered dealer, then you pay tax under RCM. That is what government says. If both are unregistered dealer, then the transaction will not come into light at all.
Hello?
Hello. Got it?
Yeah, Mr. Satish, you want to share something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Satish,
Satish, please.
Income tax consultant.
No, not like that, sir. See, regarding this RCM specifically, so it was there, but only for specific services, not for every service or every good. Okay. It's only for legal profession and now security services, and also for some goods like cotton or something. Regarding the question asked by Uma Shankar sir relating these, see, if Ruben sir, both the questions combining. So one thing is he is renting the property for a consideration of less than 20 lakhs.
Correct.
So once it is less than 20 lakhs, he has two options. The person who is renting the property, he can either register voluntarily or he need not register. Registration voluntarily applies only, for example, some of the companies will insist for registration, even though he is not liable for registration. They want a specific type, so they insist for registration. Once he insists for registration and they register, he has to specifically pay. He has to compulsory pay the GST. He has to compulsory discharge. He has to raise the GST invoice and he has to pay the GST liability. And he has to pass on the credit to the other person. Regarding if the company doesn't insist for the registration, he need not register and he need not pay the he need not do the tax invoice. But he has to do the invoice. The invoice is something different than the tax invoice.
Correct. It's not tax invoice. It's invoice. Normal invoice.
It's normal invoice for the purpose of the company for the vouching purposes as a proof of payment.
Correct.
And the second thing is, in the same case, the reverse charge mechanism will not apply because renting of property is not on the reverse charge. Only the security service.
So that is not in the list.
It is there. And second question for regarding composition, for services composition is there, but at the rate of 6%, not at the rate of 1%. It is newly enacted in some laws before here. Yes, it is there at the rate of 6%. So it's
composition is okay.
Yes, it's a normal. It's a recent one. The total turnover should be less than 50 lakhs, and he can avail for 6% service.
Okay.
Composition is there at the rate of 6%, not at the rate of 1%. Even the person who is supplying goods and service can opt for 1%, provided his total service income should not be more than 10% of his total goods income.
Okay.
So that is the new concept. I think it came around a year back or half a year back, maybe on September or October 19 or October 18 may have came somewhere, if I am not wrong. So that is regarding this one, sir.
So okay, so you say that RCM is not applicable, and
no.
Registration is not mandatory. If you register, then he has to pay GST. Otherwise, not required.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any other?
So from his point, I have one query. So as I said, my friend, per year he is getting 12 lakhs something rent. Okay. As I said, in future, like if he get, like the rent would become around like a 20 plus lakhs per year. Mean like the government or like the parties will insist the party to like get the GST registration something, right? I believe like you got my question, like this is a building comes up with, like a 3 floor, ground floor, his home is there, like the entire family put up in the ground floor. The first floor, like rented out for garment purpose, which means like a company. And, like a second floor also, like given rent for a company.
Okay.
You got it, right? So in future, like if he is going to get like, 20 plus lakhs, 20 lakhs, I mean, plus rent in the sense, so he has to register himself. He cannot, like register himself as, like a company or something like that,
Correct.
So now, what is the legal impact over here?
See here, your friend has a three floor building, 3-story building. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The ground floor is used for residential purpose.
Yes.
The first floor is for commercial purpose. And second floor is also assuming commercial, and the third floor is residential purpose.
Third floor, there is no third floor, only balcony.
Maybe okay. First commercial, second residential. Okay.
Yes.
Now this comes under the concept of mixed supply.
Okay.
So mixed supply says you are letting the property, okay. For a personal residential purpose, and also for a commercial purpose.
Okay.
So the GST rate says that it's a service. Letting of immobile property is a services.
Okay.
So on the whole, assuming I'm giving an example. Okay. Assuming you raise a single invoice for all three together, you are raising some invoice.
Okay.
Then your GST rate will be the highest. That is whatever the commercial part, the GST rate is applicable. I'm not talking about I don't know what is the GST rate, but whatever is the highest rate, that will be applicable. So it's a mixed supply because you have two taxable supplies. Each building, each apartment is a product.
Okay.
And you are letting it, but the letting is your business. Okay. Assume your letting is your business. One is you are letting for residential, another is one you are letting for commercial.
Okay.
For both you are subject to pay GST.
Oh, okay.
For both you are subject to pay GST provided you are under that bracket, 20 lakhs or whatever it is. But when you pay GST, you have to see you cannot pay GST apply rate, residential one rate and the commercial the other rate. It is because two different taxable services. And two combined together, and the highest rate need to be applied. It's a sort of mixed supply.
Oh, okay. So this is technically correct. So what you are telling, but my question would be, like whether GST applicable for residential. You got it right. Yeah. Say example, like a 7. Okay.
See, it is apply. Is it given to residents or what? What is your business? Letting is a business.
Yeah.
Then you are doing business. There is a supply, there is a consideration, and it is in the course of business.
Okay.
So GST is applicable.
Yeah, Ruben. Yeah, scenario is if a person is having 2 houses and getting rent from 2 is okay. But if a person is having 20 houses and earning money from all the 20, then it is commercial, no?
Is business. Is business to let
out. He's doing as business. Making money out of it.
Yeah, I got it. But like in this scenario, like is property, like used for residential as well as like for a commercial.
It is immaterial. It is immaterial. The purpose for which the building is used. But from the law perspective, as a supplier, you have supplied the building to someone else for a consideration, that is rent, and supplying the building is your business, and there is a done in the course of business, therefore GST is applicable.
Okay, fine, sure, thank
you.
Yes, Balaji, any more final question? We have 5 more minutes.
No, Subram, so can we?
Yeah.
So okay. Fine.
Thank you, participants.
Thank you, Satish. Thank you, Subram.
Anish, it's a very good session. Thank you, Balaji, especially. Thank you, Balaji.
Thank
Great
you so
session.
much. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Subram sir. Thank you,
Thank
Anish.
you, Umashankar.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Ruban. Satish Garu, thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Subram sir.
Satish. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.